You gonna try to wrestle, bro? Ain't gonna work this time.
We're gonna wrestle.
We're gonna wrestle. Let's wrestle.
Let's wrestle. Let's wrestle. We're gonna wrestle.
This is Johnny with TigerBum MMA, and tonight I'll be going over UFC 278 Usman versus Edwards 2 for the welterweight championship of the world. Edwards will try to be the second UK fighter to win a belt. Will he do it? We'll see. I mean, he's got a significant height advantage. Usman already beat him the first time. Overall, not too bad of a pay-per-view. I think if you, I can't remember if you got like Disney Plus or some shit, you get a $20 discount on purchasing this pay-per-view, which is fantastic because like paying that $99.99 each month has been like ridiculous, right? It's been taking more money out of my parlays each week that never cash, but oh, thank God for that $20 discount. But let's get started with the first fight of the night. I don't have my general cards, which I call them that, my pictures of the fighters, which coincidentally always end up being really bad pictures of them, but it is what it is. Gotta get this out ASAP. Been a rough week. Funny enough, I went and followed the Dodgers this weekend as they played in Kansas City, so I drove my ass down there, so I didn't have time to like really watch tape throughout the weekend, which I normally do. So I got home really exhausted from like 3-4 days of following the Dodgers beating the shit out of Kansas City, except for that one day that we won't talk about. But first fight of the night, we've got at flyweight Victor Altamirano versus Daniel Miojo da Silva. Altamirano's nickname El Magnifico, and the odds currently have it in favor of Altamirano. He is, depending on where you find him or where you bet, he's currently floating around like minus 200, minus 185. Come back on Da Silva is plus 160-ish. And overall, I think that the odds are pretty accurate. I think Altamirano has a lot going for him at a lighter weight class. You know, he's a flyweight. I don't particularly think he has a whole ton of pop to his punches, but he does have a lot of, you know, activity. He throws a lot of kicks. He's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. I think Da Silva is a brown belt, but he's a pretty active brown belt off of his back. Like, he's very dangerous when it comes to submissions. And I've always been a fan of this guy since he came into the UFC. I picked him, actually, both of his fights, I picked him to beat both of his opponents, both Francisco Figueiredo, which it didn't go well for him. He got caught in that knee bar, which, as much as I like Miojo, aka he goes by the name of Ramen Noodles, like, I like what he brings to the table. Like, he's very aggressive. His last fight out, he had the dyed hair and the dyed mustache beard combo, and he kind of had like a Conor McGregor vibe to him. And then that's what I initially thought when I first saw the fight. Let me move this shit out of the way a little bit, blocking my pretty face. When I saw it again, I'm like, he never threw a left hand or anything. He was just kind of like stationary, just kind of bouncing like McGregor. But I'm like, yeah, maybe that's not a good sign. My little co-host today, I'm going to call him Steven. But yeah, Da Silva, like I mentioned, I like what he brings to the table. He's very aggressive, but I just don't know if he is quite ready for the UFC. I know he's training with the champ, Charles Oliveira, down with Diego Lima Shooter Box. So I'm hoping he brings new weapons to the table. Do I think he's a live dog? Sure. It's just that I've seen him kind of make a lot of juvenile mistakes in the cage. Altamirano, although he has less fights than Da Silva, I do think he's overall closer to being a complete package than Da Silva. Da Silva, I think he can make a lot fast improvements a lot quicker than Altamirano. Altamirano's kind of like, he moves a lot. Like, he's got awkward style. He's a very cerebral fighter, and I do expect him to win, but he's right now floating around a minus 200. I might say he might be a parlay piece, but I just don't feel confident enough picking him straight. I will pick him to win this fight, I think, by decision. Not to say Da Silva can't win. I think Da Silva definitely has a chance to catch him early. I don't know if he'll submit him, but he'll have to do something spectacular. Like, he has dynamic kicks. The spinning back kick that he landed on Figueiredo, like, immediately, it was very, very quick. No telegraph at all. I'm like, this guy's got something to him. I just don't think he's ready yet. Like, looking at his record, he is 11-3, and I don't think he's fought the best competition. The best competition he's fought has been in the UFC. For one example, obviously Jeff Molina beat his ass, and I did think he could beat Jeff Molina just by being very explosive, and then he kind of showed a level of, I don't want to say quit in him, but he just did not have the right stuff to come back after getting dropped in that fight. As for Altamirano, again, he fought a very close decision to Carlos Hernandez, and some people thought he won. I don't think so. I thought he clearly lost that one, but I still think he's just currently the better fighter, and he should be able to win this one by decision. Can either of them knock each other out? The Silva for sure. If Altamirano's kind of like, well, for example, like Dominic Cruz recently, he's doing a lot of movement, ducking and diving. He doesn't do that to that extent, like Dominic. But if De Silva can catch him sleeping, I feel like he can catch him with like a head kick. But overall, I think being that he's a tough Mexican kid, I don't think he's going to make a mistake, and I think he grinds out Daniel De Silva. He has to mind his P's and Q's because, again, he's very, very active off of his back. But De Silva does tend to slow down. We'll see, though, because, again, being in that camp with Diego Lima shooter box, I expect him to be better than ever. But we'll see what happens. But I've got Victor Altamirano by decision. Jose is going with De Silva because he is the dog. Next bout, bantamweight, we've got Aoriqileng versus Jay Perrin. The Mongolian murderer versus the Joker. I think he recently changed his name to the Savage, so I'm not positive. But Jay Perrin, I like Jay Perrin. He is a plus 160 dog. Come back on Aoriqileng minus 190. This one is kind of tough, and I think I have the same sentiment as a lot of other guys that do this type of shit. Like the moment I saw this fight and I saw the odds, I'm like, I think Jay Perrin has a good chance to win this one. He's pretty solid everywhere. He's a master of none, though. Like, what's that saying? Something, but not master of none. He does everything fairly well, but he's not necessarily the fastest guy. He's not the most, I don't want to say necessarily durable. He's pretty durable. Like, I don't expect him to get knocked out by Aoriqileng, but he's not the most, like, experienced striker. He's got decent boxing, but he's not very fast. Good kickboxing, but, again, not very fast. I don't necessarily see him throwing a lot of, like, impressive high kicks. But he's the type of guy that if you gas yourself out trying to beat his ass, he will come back and beat the shit out of you. So Aoriqileng, I think he's got the speed advantage, the power advantage, the camp advantage, training out of Fight Ready. He's going to have a slight reach advantage, like a 0.3 reach advantage. They're identical in the sense of height, weight, and reach. But yeah, Aoriqileng, my biggest concern with him is that, again, if he gets extended, a guy like Jay Perrin could really put it on him and make a really relatively easy fight for this guy a lot closer. I get the gut feeling that Jay Perrin might win the split decision. I think he might do more. He might go for a takedown. His wrestling's not too bad. His jiu-jitsu's not too bad, but again, he's not the greatest everywhere. Like, for example, I can see him getting takedowns on Aoriqileng, but Aoriqileng just pops right back up. And then maybe the seventh takedown that Jay Perrin goes for, if he decides to go that route, like he had a pretty good takedown against Mario Bautista. And again, that was at short notice against Mario Bautista in his UFC debut. And he didn't look too bad. He actually gave me a bit of a scare at certain points. Like he was doing enough to be like, this isn't as easy as I expected for Mario Bautista. And again, Aoriqileng, he had it pretty rough with his two losses in the UFC against Jeff Molina, and then Cody Durden grinded him out. Like, get this motherfucker off me. And then Cameron Else, he looked better than ever because he moved up in weight. I do think that weight jump is going to benefit him. He's going to look a lot better. I think his takedown defense is going to look better. I will pick Aoriqileng by decision, but damn, am I worried about putting him in on parlays. I do think that Jay Perrin is live in this situation, maybe even like a live betting odds. Like if you see past the 1.5 mark that Jay Perrin might be taking over, or you think that second round was close and Jay Perrin's like a plus 300-400, and you're thinking, damn, the judges might see something a different way. This is Utah. I'm not really sure how the Utah judges see things, but I'm going to assume that they don't take too kindly to the Chinese. So I do think, again, Jay Perrin might be live here. If he doesn't get blasted, Jay Perrin's never been knocked out. I do think his defense is pretty solid. Comes from a boxing background. Wu-Tang tattoo might give him that power, but I will go with Aoriqileng by decision, but not confident, not putting him on any parlays. Next bout, flyweight bout, Amir the Prince Albazi versus Francisco Figueiredo, the sniper. The odds on this one have it, damn, Amir Albazi minus 360, come back on Figueiredo. The lesser Figueiredo is plus 280. Now, if he is a Figueiredo, regardless of him being a shitty Figueiredo, he is a Figueiredo. Like we saw that knee bar. His jiu-jitsu's pretty solid. His gas tank's not all that great. His striking is, he's got power in that left hand, right? He's not all that bad. Is he live here? Possibly. He's going to have to catch Albazi pretty early, or Albazi has to just be overconfident, just hands down, which I do not see that happening. One thing about Albazi that I'll say, like a lot of people are high on him. I'm not. Maybe I'm just behind on the times. I've seen him fight. He doesn't necessarily impress me, but I will say he's a very solid fighter. I don't think he's a great fighter. I don't think I'd ever go out on Twitter and say, hey, look at Amir Albazi. Look how great he is. That's just like a statement for me. Like I don't see it, but I do see that he's a solid fighter at flyweight. Do I think he's ever going to contend for the title? He's going to have to show me something against Figueiredo. If he finishes Figueiredo in such a dynamic fashion, I might shut my fucking mouth and start paying attention. But let me know in the comments if what you think about Amir Albazi, because again, I saw something on Twitter. I'm like, oh, he's a really good fighter. I'm like, am I missing something? Am I behind on the times? But overall, despite that little rant of me shedding on the guy almost, I think he's a well-rounded fighter. Great jiu-jitsu, obviously. I think I don't know if he's a black belt yet. I know when he fought Malcolm Gordon, he was either a brown belt or a purple belt, and he ended up submitting the black belt, that is Malcolm Gordon, with a triangle choke, which was impressive as fuck. And then he beat Zalgas pretty decisively, and I actually picked Zalgas to beat him because Zalgas, he didn't look too bad in that fight. It's just it came down to that last round, I believe, and Albazi used his grappling. I mean, again, he has good striking, not great. His jiu-jitsu is probably the best aspect. I don't know how great his wrestling is. He's not very active, though, which concerns me. And I do think because he hasn't fought in about a year and a half, Francisco has a chance to catch him. But Albazi hasn't necessarily shown that he has like Ode Osborne levels of self-doubt in there. And I bring up Ode because he did ruin one of my parlays, which pissed me off because I know how good he is and how good he can be. But that moment of self-doubt when he's like, I need to throw a fucking flying knee, and he ends up getting caught, that kind of shit now puts Ode Osborne in that category of like, maybe do not mess with this guy. Don't put him in any parlays. I don't care if he's fighting Malcolm Gordon, maybe he does something similar and he gets caught in a guillotine. Like he shoots for a nasty, stupid takedown. Like Albazi has never shown any kind of stuff like that. So I do think he stays on the outside. He uses his boxing. He moves a lot. He'll get inside and kind of grind out Figueiredo. Figueiredo isn't necessarily going to try to attack against the cage. If anything, he just has to be really careful in the guard. If he takes him down, he just wins points, and just avoid that power punch from Figueiredo. And I think he wins this one by decision. I'd like for him to finish Figueiredo, but at plus 280, that's tempting, right? Him beating Daniel da Silva, who I just mentioned, may not be ready for the UFC. He finished him with a knee bar. It was an impressive knee bar, but it almost seemed like da Silva kind of gave it to him, which bums me out. But yeah, I've got Albazi to win this one by decision. And I do think he might be a pretty solid parlay piece. But again, it's one of those, like, the way I make my parlays, 100%, they're dumb, bum-ass, TigerBum Ass Parlays. I do not expect them to win. But when they do win, which hasn't happened in a while, I tell people to suck my dick. And I enjoy the, 400% profit that I make. But again, I don't expect this parlay to win, but I'll probably put him in that particular parlay because if Figueiredo knocks him out, I wouldn't be shocked. But yeah, I'll put him on there as a play. God damn, I just checked him on my casino's website, and he's like minus 435, which is, God, that fucking sucks. But again, Albazi parlay piece. Moving on, we've got a really interesting fight at welterweight. AJ the Ghost Fletcher versus, for whatever reason, the last ninja, Loosa. Kind of like the last samurai. He doesn't look like a samurai. He doesn't look like a ninja, but whatever. Loosa is a minus 130 underdog compared to the minus 155 favorite for Fletcher. And the most interesting thing, these guys are, to me, very similar in every aspect, right? Despite the obvious. But to me, AJ Fletcher has the possible power advantage, the strength advantage, mostly because he has the, how do you say it, the athleticism, the additional athleticism. Both these guys are specimens, right? They're both jacked. The biggest difference right off the bat physically would be the reach advantage. 74 inches for Loosa and 67 for AJ Fletcher. Now, I'm going back and forth with this one because do I see value on Loosa? 100%. I do think if you're taking Loosa, there's a lot of value there because I think this fight goes to a decision and it could be 1-1 going into the third. Loosa, to me, has fought slightly better competition. He's fought better veterans. He fought, John Howard, about 3 months ago before he got into the UFC, and he fought Munir Lazzez. He didn't get knocked out by Munir Lazzez. He looked pretty decent. Didn't look great. He lost that fight, but he still stood there with Lazzez. He fought Jack Della Maddalena, who, if you don't know that name by now, go look him up. This guy's fantastic. He's a complete package, and he hung in there with him. He even nearly finished him. If it wasn't for Jack Della Maddalena's incredible fucking, IQ and skill set of being able to get out of that arm triangle, he could have gotten him out of there. Like, had that been anyone else, he would have tapped him out. And I do just like Loosa in this spot. It's just that, to me, it comes down to the grappling. Loosa is more of a striker. But to me, I think that AJ possesses more techniques on the feet, obviously the spinning techniques, the flying techniques. And despite that reach advantage, I think he has a good chance to not necessarily hurt Loosa, but to land the more impactful shots. Like, if you're watching this fight and if you're a judge, I am a judge, but if I'm watching this fight and I'm at cage side and I see Loosa landing some solid punches that AJ Fletcher might be blocking, I'm for sure he's going to land on AJ Fletcher. But if AJ lands a spinning back kick that maybe grazes Loosa, but if I'm at a certain angle and I don't fucking see that it didn't graze him, it looks like he just got all of it, he's going to win that round for me if it's really close. And that's kind of like the deciding factor. The fact that AJ Fletcher has the type of powerful takedowns to get Loosa down, I think those are going to really benefit him as well. His cardio concerns me because he did kind of gas out. I didn't like the way he looked against Semmelsberger. Like, he had a really good plan against Semmelsberger. He was landing pretty effectively despite his short arms. He was really beating Semmelsberger to the punch. Like, he was cutting him off, getting in close and landing jabs, landing uppercuts. He didn't always land the uppercut, but it landed at certain points. I just think that if he comes in here smart, he comes in shape with good cardio, he could win this one in the third round by getting a takedown. Same thing could happen with Loosa. His takedowns aren't great, but he's a powerful guy, and he can definitely get AJ Fletcher down. So I'm going to go with Fletcher. I'm not incredibly confident in this particular pick. To me, it kind of feels like a dog or pass, but there's just that little extra from Fletcher, coming from Louisiana, training a bit with Poirier. Like, this motherfucker in his fight with Semmelsberger jumped guillotine. I'm like, God damn it. Like, he's learning all the bad things from Dustin Poirier, but maybe he's learning a couple good techniques. Maybe if he implements low calf kicks and keeps a high guard, I think he can win this one. I'm intrigued by it, but we'll see. I like both these guys. Wouldn't blame anyone for taking Loosa, but I got AJ Fletcher by decision. So far, nothing but decisions. Also, fucking Jose would take Jay Perrin. He's going to take Francisco Figueiredo and Loosa because they're all the dogs. Next bout, flyweight, women's flyweight, Miranda the Maverick, Fear the Maverick versus Shanna Young. And currently the odds, Miranda Maverick minus 420. Ha ha ha. And Shanna Young plus 330. To me, this one, there's no real debate. Maverick's going to win unless she makes a boneheaded mistake in there and gets caught by Shanna Young, who has decent enough strike and good kicks. She's going to take her down and TKO her. I've got Maverick by first round TKO. Jose told me he was going to take Shanna Young, but I'm going to change it to Miranda Maverick because I'm not going to make him take that loss. But yeah, Maverick's going to come in here. The general thought is that she's going to get a submission, right? She got a submission over Sabina Masso, rear naked choke her last fight out. She's going to take down Shanna Young, get on her back, and TKO her. That's my prediction, round number 1. Next bout, really good fight, really kind of a banger on this particular undercard. Sean the Sniper Woodson versus Luis Saldana. And Woodson minus 300. Comeback on Saldana is a plus 240. This one, it doesn't necessarily scream close fight to me, but there's a possibility there. Saldana's very dynamic. He's got good head movement. He has a lot going for him, but he gasses out. That's his biggest issue. He slows down. He slowed down against. He made his debut against Jordan Griffin. He lost to Austin Lingo for going too hard in the first round. He couldn't get him out of there. And then Bruno Souza, he didn't really do much. Just threw a lot of leg kicks. And to me, at watching it live, I thought Souza won it because he did slightly more than Saldana, who in the third round, because he conserved his gas tank, he was moving his head, throwing punches, just landing. He looked like a completely different fighter. Against Sean Woodson, who is a pretty solid, miraculous, long-armed fucking freak of nature, 6'2" at featherweight. I mean, if he continues to make the weight, he's going to be an issue for a lot of guys. I mean, obviously there's ways to beat this guy. You know, Julian Erosa exposed him a little bit, but I think that was a good learning lesson for him. And he kind of destroyed Colin Anglin using those body shots. Those body shots, I think, are going to make the difference here. I mean, Sean Woodson, his biggest thing is he's got to watch the head kicks and the kicks from Saldana. Saldana's going to move a lot. That movement, I think, eventually is going to catch up to Saldana. Woodson's going to really be defensively sound, like good hand placement. He's going to cover up really well. He throws a lot of like teeps and a lot of like jumping knees for people who try to shoot on him to kind of discourage them from shooting. So I think Woodson is eventually going to just invest a lot of shots to the body against Saldana, and he's going to TKO him in round number 3. Round number 2, the way I see the fight going, and of course I could be wrong, but the way I see this fight going, Woodson is going to have a pretty decent round number 1, not anything spectacular, because Saldana is going to be moving a lot, maybe throwing a decent amount, more so counters to try to like fend off Sean Woodson moving forward. He's eventually going to tire. He's going to conserve more energy in round number 2. Woodson's not the most fast guy. He just has very good combinations. He picks his shots very well, obviously, because his nickname is a sniper. He has to live up to that nickname. But I do think eventually round number 3 is going to come. Saldana's going to be huffing and puffing, and Sean Woodson's going to land either a knee to the body or just like a left hook to the body, and he's going to drop Luis Saldana and tee off on him. I don't think Saldana has, again, the best gas tank. We'll see how he handles this. Saldana, I think, is live for like a head kick knockout. Other than that, I don't think he's going to win the decision unless he's like literally fucking running away from Sean Woodson and landing kicks and Woodson can't reach him, which Woodson's going to fucking reach him. He's got those Dulcim arms, as Michael Bisping put it. He's going to eventually TKO him. I'm going to say round number 3. Could be round number 2, depending on how much damage Woodson puts on him. But I've got Woodson round number 3 TKO body shot. Jose has Luis Saldana because he's a dog. Next bout, we've got the returning Lucy Pudilova, or as I call her, Putaloba, because that means wolf bitch. And I like it. Wolf bitch, Lucy Putaloba. Bantamweight bout against Mulan Yanan Wu. The odds have it minus 155 for Pudilova. Comeback on Wu is a plus 130. I went back and watched some of the fights that Pudilova had outside of the UFC, and she's on a 2-fight win streak. And granted, she's training with the GOAT, Artem Lobov, and SBG. And that's something, right? But I've not necessarily been impressed by the level of competition she's been fighting outside of the UFC and the way she's been handling these women, right? Like, had she been knocking these girls out, I would have been like, oh shit, she's got this newfound power, or she's got this newfound aggression, or a newfound level of output. But no, to me, it's like maybe the same old Lucy Pudilova. Maybe she's just cleaned up a little bit with her boxing, like a good jab. She moves forward. She is aggressive, but not as aggressive as I would want her to be. To me, this just screams Wu Yanan winning this one by just more output, more movement. Like Yanan Wu, gotta make sure which one I say, Yanan Wu or Wu Yanan. Yanan Wu, despite being on a 3-fight losing streak, She fought pretty damn valiantly against Mayra Bueno Silva. I don't think Pudilova would have handled herself against Bueno Silva going to a decision. Lost to Jocelyn Edwards, who, a lot of people have their opinion on her, but I think she's a solid fighter. And then, in a way, that is what it is. But to me, I think Wu is going to use her, I don't want to say excellent movement, but her movement, her footwork, and just have more output. Pudilova can definitely win this fight. To me, it's a throwaway fight. It might be fun. It might even honestly be a sleeper hit because if these two girls decide to start banging, I mean, Pudilova had a great fight back in the day with Irene Aldana. It was a great fight, but I don't know if she's going to try to do that. She wants to win in the UFC. She has to fight a little bit more technical. But yeah, for me, Yanan Wu is going to win this one. At plus money, I think she's the play right here. Being it's women's MMA, Pudilova's coming back to the big show. The UFC. She might have maybe the jitters. Who the hell knows? And Yanan Wu absolutely needs this win, and she's only going to have a inch and a half reach disadvantage. But to me, Pudilova, I don't think she's going to be able to really hit her as cleanly as what she would need to solidify a decision. So I'm going to go with Wu to win this one by a decision. So far, only one knockout. No, two knockouts. Everything else has been a decision for me. But hopefully I'm wrong, man. Because after that San Diego card, you kind of want some bloodshed, and I don't want to trade that for fucking a pay-per-view full of decisions. Next bout, Jared Gordon. I just saw my prediction on this one. It's also a decision. Jared Gordon versus Leandro Santos. Damn it. Leonardo Santos. I always get his name wrong. Santos is a plus 260. Come back on Gordon. Minus 330. And for me, I'm just going to be very cut and dry with this one. Jared Gordon's going to win this one by decision. He's going to have some adversity in the first round because Santos, he's a fucking good fighter, right? But 42 years old, he did this too late, coming off two losses, two finishes at that. He essentially got his shit pushed in by Clay Guida after he pushed Clay's shit in. He took it back out, and Clay's just like, how do you like it? And Grant Dawson knocked him out with a disgusting hammer fist from the top. I mean, to me, that was one of the best knockouts of that year. I went to go live bet that fight at the casino. I drove my bitch ass from home to go bet that fight because I saw how kind of the odds were fluctuating. It kept saying that Santos was losing, and I'm like, he's a plus something dog. I'm like, I think he's winning this fight. He's blocking everything that what's his name, Grant Dawson was doing. Dawson didn't look all that great. Thank God I didn't get a chance to bet it because on the cards Dawson was winning. But yeah, he ends up popping his fucking head off on the ground. It was fantastic. Last second knockout. Funny enough, Grant Dawson also finished Jared Gordon. But that was more of a much more closer fight between those two. I did think that Jared Gordon held his own. He's got excellent cardio. His chin could be a bit suspect. That pull back right hand from Santos could really be a problem if Jared Gordon is kind of caught sleeping. But when it comes to the grappling, I think it's going to negate itself. I think Leandro Santos will eventually get tired either from grappling. I don't think Jared Gordon's the type of guy that's afraid to grapple with Leandro Santos. He's training out of Renzo Gracie Academy. Training with the future GOAT, Bilal Muhammad. So I do think he's going to be very comfortable wherever the fight goes. He obviously beat Joe Selecki on the ground. It's same type of performance. You get tired with Jared Gordon, he will fuck you up. He's been fighting dudes outside of New York. All these videos of him getting into fucking fistfights. I'm like, I don't know how this guy gets on multiple cameras, beating the shit out of dudes. So the dude's more than ready to fight Leandro Santos. Goddammit. So yeah, I got him by decision. Jose has Santos by decision as well because he is the dog. Next bout, main card opener, Tyson Pedro versus Harry Hunsucker. The great Harry Hunsucker. Harry the Hurricane Hunsucker. Triple H, if you will. He's currently a plus 550 heavy underdog. I don't know why. Dude's coming down from heavyweight. He should have all the advantages, right? He's got the I guess Tyson Pedro has the reach advantage, but he has Pedro also has the height advantage. Is he younger? No, he's 33 compared to 30 of Pedro. But he hasn't been fit. No, wait. He got finished by Tafa and Tuivasa. Wait a minute. Tuivasa, Tafa, Pedro. What do they all have in common? They're all from a certain part of the world. Pedro's going to win this one. He's a minus 800 favorite against Harry Bumsucker, which is not a bad thing, right? If you're a connoisseur of eating ass, Bumsucker is a good nickname. But Bumsucker is Hunsucker. That is, he's kind of outmatched here. He's dropping down. In all seriousness, he's dropping down from heavyweight to light heavyweight, which suits him better. The he's not a terrible fighter, right? He can put your fucking lights out, right? If Tyson Pedro's overestimating his skill set against a guy like Hunsucker and he decides like, I want to put on a show and I want to beat this guy for 3 rounds, he probably will. But if he does any sort of mistake against Hunsucker, like Hunsucker's a pretty I want to say the word dynamic guy. Like he has those spurts in him where he can do something like, oh shit, that's incredible. Like he's pretty athletic for a big guy. So he has to be careful. But yeah, Tyson Pedro's going to beat his ass. If Pedro's smart, he'll take him down, submit him easily. But I think he might want to try to stand with Hunsucker, who to me kind of only has like a couple minutes of cardio, but since he's dropping down, he might have like maybe 5 to 6 minutes of cardio. So I'll go with Tyson Pedro. I'm gonna say round number 1 knockout. I think he's gonna take him down and pound him out. Like deep down though, if we're being serious, all the jokes aside, I kind of want to see Harry Hunsucker knock out Tyson Pedro just because those memes will live on in infamy. Someone posted, you know who you are, that Harry Hunsucker could potentially get a submission in the first round because he has one like first round sub by Kimura. I'd love that. I'd love to see that shit. But yeah, to me, Pedro wins. Don't add him on any parlays. It's just fucking pointless. I don't even feel comfortable telling you prop him up because Pedro got a knockout his last time out where he should have gotten a submission. He might try to go for another knockout here. So I'll go with Pedro by knockout, but realistically, you should go for the sub. Next bout, heavyweight bout, we've got Marcin Tybura versus Alexander Romanov. Romanov minus 350, come back on Tybura plus 275. Interesting bout this one is because I think I know it. I think you know it. I think everyone who does this shit or watches these types of videos kind of knows it. Marcin Tybura is kind of live in this situation here because Alexander Romanov, he's still yet to be proven at that minus 350 against a guy like Tybura. And I know a lot of people might not consider Tybura to be like all that great, but I think he's got a good shot here to beat Romanov. Am I picking him to beat Romanov? Fuck no. Romanov right now, he's King Kong for a reason. If he gets on top of Tybura, or if he bum rushes him and like swings wildly, he can probably knock the fuck out of Tybura because his chin is not the greatest. He's been rocked multiple times. Like a guy as heavy and as powerful as Romanov, I can see him putting his lights out with like a swinging overhand or like a wild super left hook from super far away, non-technical. To me, Romanov is the play, but live betting, oh my God, the live betting options, it's like, motherfucker. Oh, Tybura's minus 4,000 after round number 1 because Romanov King Konged his ass and he somehow survived. And then he goes to the corner, Romanov does, and he's kind of breathing a little heavy, and you're just fucking pounding that line of like fucking plus, realistically, like maybe plus 600 Tybura. Tybura has gone 3 rounds. Romanov, the last time he went 3 rounds, he kind of pulled a bit of a stunt where he got kneed in the balls kind of lightly, unless his balls are fucking huge. That didn't hurt him. And I still think Juan Espino won that fight. I still kind of pissed off about Romanov taking that. But if you look at the competition, he easily dispatched Chase Sherman and Jared Vandera. This is not Chase Sherman or Jared Vandera, Maisheng Tybura. Again, he's solid everywhere. He can get that high left head kick. He's got decent power. His grappling's not terrible. He's a heavy body as well. He's 6'3", fucking heavyweight, right? I know Alexander Romanov's lost some weight. All I'm saying is that don't go overboard with I'm going to put Romanov on every single one of my parlays, because if there is a huge upset on this card, I think this is it. I think Tybura has a chance, but I'm going with Romanov round number 1 knockout. I do expect him to take him down, get on top, because he's just got that different level of wrestling right now. And I think his striking is getting better. And part of me really thinks he's going to go out there and knock him out on the feet. I just get this weird feeling that because he has zero fear of getting taken down by Tybura, who has been primarily like a grappler as of late. He's been trying to just grapple everyone up and take you down and knock you out, TKO you. I just get a feeling he's going to go in there fucking buck wild and catch him with something wild. So I'll go with round number 1, Romanov knockout. If he doesn't, I'm taking a look at that live betting line. Next bout, Jose Aldo versus Merab Dvalishvili. The Machine. Currently, he is minus 120. Comeback on Jose Aldo is a plus 100. Boys, what do you think, Butter? Jose Aldo for me. I'm not going to play around because, like, we know what Merab can do. He's a takedown machine. He can do it all, right? He's got the output. He can move forward, but he really relies on that takedown and that grappling. Jose Aldo, he hasn't really fought a wrestler in any recent time, but that takedown defense. So the way I see this going, and I'm positive I could be wrong, right? Like I get a feeling Merab's going to win it, but I'm going with what I believe is going to happen, right? Like I just get this gut feeling that Jose Aldo is going to shock a lot of people. The odds themselves indicate it's a close fight because I don't want to put a lot of stock in what happened with Marlon Moraes and Merab, because Merab showed toughness in that fight. He showed intelligence and the excellent recovery and cardio against against Marlon. But Marlon had him on fucking Queer Street, right? Had this been a different referee, that fight might have been over because he was rocked. I do not expect Jose Aldo to do that to Merab. Jose is a little bit more reserved. He's a lot more technical. He will pinpoint his strikes in such a way that, like, a lot of people might be expecting Jose Aldo's going to throw a kick and Merab's going to catch it. I don't expect that to happen. I think Merab will be moving forward, trying to take down Jose Aldo. He might get him down. He might not. But in those transitions, I think Aldo's going to push away, and then at that point might throw a leg kick. And the accumulation of those leg kicks, that I fully expect Jose to be very reserved with them, but he's going to make them count. Those are going to slow down Merab to a certain point. Not to a point like, oh, he's not going to be able to complete a takedown, but I think to a certain point where Jose is going to be able to outpoint him using expert body shots, good counters, because Merab, his striking, his boxing is really dependent on his ability to get people down. He goes in forward against Marlon Moraes. I'm going to say this. He kind of looked like a fucking moron trying to strike with him. And Marlon was just very patient, and he ended up catching him with that left hook. Rock this shit. What's to say that can't happen again? Right? Do I expect it? No, but I expect Jose to be landing the more impactful shots. Merab's going to probably be swinging a lot, trying to go for takedowns. If that fight goes that way, and Jose Aldo's takedown defense is frankly better than ever because it was great at featherweight, and if it's just as good as at bantamweight, and if his cardio holds up, it's going to look like Merab is a fucking scrub. That's the way I see that happening. Do I think Merab is a scrub? Absolutely not. I think he's a great fighter. I think there's a lot of great matchups for him in this division, but there's a lot of things that are kind of going against him. Like if he beats Jose Aldo, who's he going to fight next, right? Who's he fighting next? Is he going to get a title shot? Is he going to try to fight his buddy Aljo? I don't know. Part of me, this is just my speculation. Don't take this with a grain of salt, but part of me thinks that Merab might be okay losing this one. That sounds fucking stupid, I know. Leave your angry comments in the section, but part of me just thinks that if he gets put in a situation, he's like, at least I don't got to fight my friend, kind of thing, because they consider each other brothers. And it's just me, I'm being kind of stupid, but again, back to Jose Aldo. If he can stay vertical and he can disengage in those takedowns, and if Merab does not have successful takedown defenses, I think Jose Aldo is going to outpoint him just using the better strikes. And Merab might go forward just throwing a bunch of punches that get blocked. But as we've seen recently with Martin Boudet and Lucas Bresky, throwing more doesn't always indicate you're going to win the fight. I guess what the judges saw in that fight was the quality of strike compared to the quantity, which is very much so what, Marlon Vera has been doing as of late, just fucking dudes up with quality strikes compared to the quantity, which I think Merab might outstrike Jose Aldo, but Jose's going to really do the more damage, whether it be evident or just audible, like, oh, I heard a good strike from Jose Aldo. He won this round, says the judge. But yeah, I'm taking a shot on Jose Aldo. To me, it's really 50-50. I do think Merab absolutely has the ability to slow down Jose Aldo, but I'm expecting Aldo, who's been on a really good win streak as of late, to come prepared, not overextend himself. And if he does end up hurting Merab, he's not going to go full heat-hard like a certain somebody, Magic Man. But let's move on. We've got co-main event middleweight Paulo Costa versus Luke Rockhold. What the fuck do you want me to say about this one other than, Paulo Costa is going to knock him out in the first or second round? Luke Rockhold, he's 37 years old. And here's the shit, man. I'm a Luke Rockhold fan. I've been a Rockhold fan for a long time. It almost feels like I'm coming out to my parents as a homosexual, which Paulo Costa has no problems with, by the way. He loves them, except that they are, if you've seen this fucker's Twitter has been fucking killing me, dude. Paulo Costa, who's going to tell him anything? Who's going to tell him, shut the fuck up? Nobody. Fucking love that guy. But, yeah, Luke Rockhold, I've been a fan of his since back in Strikeforce, right? When he beat Jacare Souza, he threw a beautiful, spinning kick to the body that I fucking try to do back when I was younger. I'm like, I'm Luke Rockhold. And then he came into the UFC, he did fairly well for himself, but as of late, the knockouts, right? He's been getting clipped. Left hands have been putting him out. He just can't defend it. Jason Perillo, I don't know if he can help him here. As much as I want Luke Rockhold to come back and at least have some dignity, I just don't see it happening against Paulo Costa, who, despite, in the past, a lot of people were saying he was done. Even I kind of fucked around with that. I'm like, he might be done. He's kind of doing some crazy shit, like against Vettori, missing weight. Turns out he just doesn't give a fuck. He's just that kind of guy. I think he's ready to make a comeback. He looks in great shape. And despite having the reach disadvantage, I think he's going to knock him out. Luke Rockhold, despite everything, he's a fantastic grappler. If he can get Costa down, he might be in some fucking trouble, because Luke Rockhold, chin or not, he is a fabulous grappler. And he's got the best question mark kick I've ever seen in my goddamn life. Like, I can train it for 20 years and I'll never get it as clean as that. Like, it's so goddamn good that I do think he can catch Costa with it, but I just think Costa's going to be too wise. Like, he's going to have a pretty tight guard. It would be something, though, to see that question mark kick land and knock Costa out. It would piss me off a little bit, because I'm going to have Costa in a parlay. But yeah, like Luke Rockhold, if it gets to that point, I think Costa's going to walk him down and put the pressure on him, as he usually does. The eraser will erase another soul, and this could be the last time we see Luke Rockhold in the UFC if he gets brutally knocked out with that left hand, because Paulo, fuck, man. It may not be the most heaviest hand, but it is a brutal hand that he's going to lay on Luke Rockhold. So I'll go Costa round number 1, TKO. I think, oh no, he's going to knock him out cold. Fuck it. I'll go with Costa. Part of me wants to see Rockhold come back, but not against my boy Costa. And then main event, we've got Kamaru Usman, or Kamaru PED Usman, versus Leon Edwards, the second fight. Currently, Usman is a minus 340 comeback on Rocky. Edwards is a plus 280. A lot has been said about this fight, like they're both different fighters. Leon's grappling has gotten better. Let's wrestle. Kamaru Usman's striking has gotten better. Let's wrestle. To me, as much as like like, frankly, I'm not a big Usman fan. I'm not really a fan of Leon Edwards, but I would like to see some changes in the, in the division. I kind of want to see Leon Edwards win this fight. I don't see him winning this fight, though. I think Kamaru Usman, I keep calling him Kamaru, kind of like I fucking forgot how to say his name. I'm pretty sure that's how you properly say it, but Kamaru Usman, Marty, I think he wins this one. Like, to me, it's just rinse and repeat. I know his knees are bad, but he's shown. Let me actually get the Contender Series on before I finish. I don't want to miss it. I just realized what time it is. Dude, crazy how that 17-year-old got sanctioned by the Nevada Athletic Commission. Isn't that fucking crazy? Some guy is beating some other guy's ass. Anyways, Usman, I know his knees are shit, but he's shown the ability to take like calf kicks, low kicks, and shit. His cardio, obviously, he's on EPO, so he's never going to stop. And Leon Edwards, as much as his wrestling has improved, his striking is clearly better. Is he going to fucking fly? Is he going to let the hands and kicks go against Kamaru Usman, as he should, to put him in a lot of danger when he's on the outside? Is he that confident in his grappling? If he was like, I don't know, Gilbert Burns, where he didn't give a fuck if he got taken down because of his jiu-jitsu, he's going to go out there and try to take his head off. I think he's just going to dance around, throw kicks, and despite Usman's improved striking, his striking still kind of fucking sucks, man, against oh my god, what's his name? Phony Montana. I used to fucking like the guy. What the fuck is his name? Jorge Masvidal. That's how much of a star he's not anymore. I forgot him. Against Masvidal, Masvidal's making him look silly, fucking hands down, and then eventually he catches him with that right hand. But before that, Usman was just swinging like a fucking moron. So yeah, like, part of me is like, maybe Usman's time is coming to an end against Leon Edwards, who at least has shown, the ability to get back up from getting taken down, decent grappling. I just don't think he's ready for Usman, though. I think he's more prepared for him this time, but I think Usman, despite that stupid fucking striking that he has, it has still improved. He's got a really good jab still, and I think he's finally putting all of his weight and all that power in that right hand. So if he touches Leon Edwards, he's going to fucking put him out. Leon Edwards recently said something like, someone said something like, he doesn't have a weakness. What the fuck are you talking about? Did you see pillow-fisted Nate Diaz rock his shit? Get the fuck out of here. Usman's going to knock him out. I'm going to say round number 2. It might be like in the first round where you're like butterfly. You know the feeling, right? You're watching the fights. You got the butterflies. Like, oh shit. Oh my God. Is this happening? Oh my God. Leon Edwards is doing really good. He hasn't gotten taken down. He's stuffing takedowns. He's landing on Usman. Oh shit. Round number 2 starts. And then fucking Usman goes buck wild and punches him in the mouth and he flatlines him. And then it's like, well, I should have known better. So that's what I think is going to happen. I think Leon's going to have some decent success in the round number 1. Round number 2 is going to come out. Trevor Whitman's going to tell him, hey, do this. And then he's going to do it. And he's going to knock out Leon Edwards. Because, again, Edwards, he beats up guys using his grappling when they don't have superior grappling. He beats up dudes who have lesser striking than he has. So he beat up Nate Diaz by taking him down, kind of bullying him against the cage, fucking outstriking him from the outside. Usman's going to just take him down, hold him down for a bit. Even if he gets back up, it's just going to chip away at his gas tank. Edwards does have a good gas tank, but it's not as good as EPO Usman. I've got Usman second round knockout. So let me know if you have a different opinion. I don't think it's Edwards' time. I do think, as much as I hate it, Usman retires as the champion, or he might move up and try to fight Yuri, which I really hope for, if that does happen in this magical world where Usman skips middleweight, goes to light heavyweight. Goddamn, this dude is fucking bleeding in the Contender Series. He moves up to middle or light heavyweight. They give him a title shot. I hope to God they allow soccer kicks so I can see Yuri kick the fucking shit out of Kamaru Usman on the ground. So yeah, those are my predictions. Jose has Edwards. Jose has Rockhold. Jose has Merab. Jose has Tybura. Hunsucker. Yeah, he loves Hunsucker. or maybe he likes his bum sucked. One of those two. Leonardo Santos. He's got Yanan, just like I do. Yeah, he's got all those underdogs. But that's been Johnny from TigerBum MMA. Let me give you my stupid ass parlay for the week. I'm gonna go with Albazi, Altamirano, Gordon, Maverick, Woodson, and Kamaru. That gives me a plus 360. Yeah, so if I put like $40, it gets me like $145. It's not the greatest parlay, but we'll see. I will probably bet this, put it on Twitter, and let me know which one of these people fuck me. But yeah, that's been Johnny from TigerBum MMA, and I will catch you at the next fight. Also, fuck Olberg.